Midlife. Such a disruptive time. There is so much happening at this time in our lives that just really shake the foundations of everything that we have spent the last several decades of building. Welcome to The Feminine Duality, a podcast for midlife women where we heal from burnout and we learn how to take charge of our crazy time again. Midlife really has a way of making you feel that your old life, it just doesn't fit anymore. It's like trying to squeeze yourself into the clothes you wore in your 20s. And even if you're strictly speaking the same size, nothing is where it used to be and it just doesn't sit right. You have spent the last several decades being useful to everybody else. And now you stand here in midlife, look around your life and you quietly ask yourself, is this it? You feel like you've outgrown the roles that you've been playing. You've outgrown the job, you've outgrown the relationship, you've outgrown the clothes, the identity. So what happens now? I really think it is a misnomer to refer to midlife as a crisis. I think midlife is such a beautiful opportunity for reinvention, recalibration, and for going forwards in your life in a way that just is so much more aligned to your wants, your values, and not give a fig about what society expects of you, right? And this actually is why I keep harping on about how important it is to put yourself on your to-do list. You know, in the previous episodes when we talked about nervous system friendly planning and ways of opening up space in your life, put yourself on your to-do list. Because chances are that there will come a point in midlife when everything you've been doing and everything you've been being that's not a sentence in the English language, Tova. It's okay, I'm Swedish. So everything you've been doing, everything you've been for everybody else. And when everybody else has moved away, when your kids have moved out, if your relationship has fallen apart and you've split up and you've perhaps moved on from your old job and your entire identity was built upon what you were doing for these people. And now none of them are there. And you're standing there in the wreckages of your life. You have got no idea who you are, what you want, what you're good at, what brings out the spark in you, anything like that. Put yourself on your to-do list. Start doing that today, straight away, so that you don't find yourself so lost when these big shifts happen. Instead, I want you to be in a place where these big life transitions, these big changes that happen in the years around midlife, have you going, all right, cool. Well, I sort of have an inkling that I want to move in this direction, or, this is what feels real for me, authentic for me. I've always had this dream of what I want to do. I'm going to go ahead with it, because midlife is not the end, and it is absolutely not too late to start something new and just forge ahead with it. I was about to say all guns blazing, but that might lead to further burnout. But, move ahead with an energy that's sustainable, perhaps I should say. What is it that happens in midlife? And what is causing all of these thoughts and feelings and yearnings and desires for something different? In midlife, we go through this long period of time, I would say at least 15 years, roughly between 40 and 55. I don't want to talk for much further ahead than that. I'm 49, almost 50. I feel like I can't really talk about what happens in your 60s, but, stay with me. We'll see where the feminine duality goes in the next 10 years, right? But we really do change in these years. We stop tolerating a lot of bullshit. We develop new interests or redevelop old ones. Our family structures change, our bodies change, our friendship dynamics change. There is so much that happens. And I think regardless of what kind of person you are, you can find a lot of explanations out there, whether you are a very spiritual person or a very pragmatic person. I mean, I'm half and half. I'm half woo-woo, half pragmatist. There's a crystal in one hand and a mobile phone in the other, desperately posting social media. But if we're looking at the spiritual archetypal side of it, we can turn to astrology and to human design. You have 3 really big planetary shifts that happen in these years, starting with the Uranus Opposition, which is also known as your midlife transit. It's an energy that asks you to really reevaluate life, thoughts and ideals, a yearning to break away from old restrictions and to reinvent your identity. And that is then followed by your Saturn opposition, which is urging you to be more authentic and be more accountable towards yourself, and really to establish long-term maturity, stability. It invites you to ask, who do I want to be for the rest of my life? And there's a lot of life left to be had, right? We live well into our 90s now. These years, you're in the middle of it. You've only had half your life so far. And then at the end of this big universal transition comes your Chiron return, and I can't wait for mine. The Chiron return is your chance to heal old wounds, to really properly heal them. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to wait for another few years before I look into old wounds and see where they genuinely are scars or whether I've just plastered over the cracks because I don't want to look at them. And I don't think that any of these transitions are, one day over and done. They are transitions. They go over time and they float into each other. And yeah, this is a beautiful spiritual explanation as to why things really change so much in midlife, why we change the way we are thinking, why we feel different, want different. You have your physiological, your hormonal explanations. There's a lot happening with our hormones. For a woman, there's a lot happening with our hormones throughout our entire lives. You have quite the emotional roller coaster throughout puberty, and then we go through the emotional roller coasters of just having a period cycle, and then pregnancy, and then perimenopause. We go through a lot. Have you thought about just how amazingly resilient we are as women, particularly when it comes to change? Because we change all the time. It is up and down, and we just have to adjust and adapt and try to coast through this. I think we really are quite fantastic beings. It's such a shame all the research is done on men. Imagine if all the research dollars that have been spent on researching men's bodies had been spent on researching women's bodies and just realizing what it is that we do. Oh, what a different world it would be. On a purely physiological level, for a midlife woman, what happens in perimenopause is that certain hormones decline, certain hormones fluctuate, certain hormones increase. Our stress hormones, cortisol, it tends to increase in midlife because none of these operate in isolation, right? But your estrogen, it starts fluctuating. It doesn't go down gradually and in a stable manner. It goes up and down, up and down. It bounces all over the place. And that's stressful on your body. And that increases stress hormones. Many other reasons why stress hormones increase, right? But I'm not going to go into all of them now. Estrogen, it's yes, it is a sex hormone. Yes, it plays a hugely important role in our reproductive lives. But estrogen is the social bonding hormone, the nurturing hormone, the maternal instinct hormone. And if that is bouncing all over the place and up and down the walls, well, why wouldn't we want to change and shift our relationships, right? Progesterone, it does so much more than just protect you from endometrial cancer. It has a huge mood regulating effect. If that mood regulation is gone, of course, that has a huge impact on how we see the world. And testosterone, I think, is so misunderstood for women. It's always talked about as the male hormone. It's talked about as the libido hormone. Nobody really talks about the fact that there is a time of our lives when we produce more testosterone than estrogen, and that we actually use the testosterone to produce estrogen. And then testosterone falls actually way before perimenopause. It can start falling much earlier in life. And libido, yes, libido is great. But what about lust for life? And I think that's what testosterone really does. Testosterone gives you lust for life. And if that's declining, well, I am so sorry. My cat really wants to be in this episode without being on camera. I have a box sitting in my kitchen, so she's been obviously sitting on top of that box. Not in the box. This cat doesn't sit in boxes, but on the box. And now she's trying to get into my kitchen cupboards. Can we find a spot and calm down? Yes. And I have no idea where I was. I was talking about testosterone. Yes. And how much it impacts us. Does testosterone impact you? I mean, I've seen you fight a cat twice your size, so I think it really does. But yes, to get back on track, now that she's lying on my lap here, if these hormones have such a big impact on so much of our mental state, then the fluctuation and the decline of them, of course, it's going to impact how we look at our world, how we feel about things. And whether we choose to go on hormone replacement therapy or not, once the hormonal changes have started making us question life as we knew it, I don't think there is a going back from that, really. Or we can look at midlife from a more societal identity, that things really do change in midlife. Okay, I had children fairly late in life, so mine aren't flying the nest yet, but the empty nest thing is a big thing for a lot of women in midlife. You know, the kids are growing up, they're moving on, they're moving out, and even if they're not quite that old yet, they're at least old enough to have some level of independence that really changes your identity as a mom, how you're mothering, how you're running your family. Really, by necessity, it looks different. A lot of women in midlife, they start changing how they feel and think about their jobs. You know, I've spent decades climbing the career ladder. I'm done climbing. I want to do something that makes sense and has meaning and gives something to me and maybe something to others without taking away from me. I think there's a very healthy dose of selfishness that appears in this time of your life. For a lot of us, our relationships break up in this time. Divorce rates for people in their 40s and 50s is on the rise. We no longer have to stay in a marriage until death do us part because society looks different, and it is a time when we tend to reevaluate. It's also a time when relationships, sadly, very often no longer work. And so the mum identity is gone, the career identity is gone, the wife identity is gone. Life looks very different. Not to mention that we look very different. Our bodies change. We get I like to call them the what the fuck furrows on my forehead. Hair starts graying. And I'm not sad about this. I quite love the changes to my body and to my face and how I look and how I feel. Like I think it's really fascinating. But gravity takes hold in a completely different way. I swear I have body parts that are more attracted to gravity now than they used to be. Yeah, things are shifting. Our bodies changed with pregnancy and it never went back to what it used to be. And even those of us who have chosen to remain childless, our bodies still change. And I don't know if anybody feels familiar with this feeling, but I remember looking in the mirror one day. Really looking in the mirror, not just doing my makeup in the mirror or doing my hair in the mirror, but really properly looking in the mirror and going, who are you? Because I didn't quite recognise the woman who was looking back at me. She doesn't look quite the way she used to. And she doesn't feel quite the way she used to. And then we're trying to come to terms with this new look, but we're constantly force-fed the eternal youth narrative. We have all the anti-aging creams and the anti-aging treatments and use these filters so nobody can see that you have wrinkles. And there is still this idea that midlife and older women are invisible. You're not invisible to me. I see you all the time. I think you're amazing. I think you're beautiful. And I think we as a collective, us, the midlife women, we're no longer willing to accept this invisibility. Are we? I'm sure it's not just me.
I actually like seeing how my face changes as I get older, but that doesn't mean I won't care for it. I use Wildmint Cosmetics natural skincare, and it is my favourite collection of skincare products because dry and dull is not the changes I'm looking for. All natural, vegan and pro-aging, Wildmint Cosmetics 5-step care kit leaves my skin feeling hydrated, nourished and more supple, without any harsh chemicals that disrupt my hormones, which is a must during perimenopause. Go to wildmintcosmetics.com and use code TOVA44475 for 50% off. That's TOVA 44475, or use the link in the description. As an affiliate, I earn money from qualifying purchases.
But we're also tired. We are so tired from all of these years where we've looked after everybody else but ourselves. All of these years of being mothers to young children and being perfect partners and, you know, this whole thing of working as though we don't have kids and mothering as though we don't have jobs, and we've kept doing it. And we're looking after aging parents and sick spouses, and we're exhausted. So we have all of these yearnings. We know that this is not the end. We know that there is more to come and more to be, but we have no idea where to fit that in. Because how on earth do you start thinking about more, start thinking about new, when there is just so much of the old? And we don't care about it anymore because, you know, our estrogen levels are down. We don't give a crap. But apparently society doesn't care whether we care or not. So regardless of which explanation fits you best, whether it's the spiritual explanation, the hormonal explanation, or the societal explanation, it doesn't really matter what the reason is. They all point to the same thing. They all say that we feel this need to break away from certain structures of our life. We feel this urge for reinvention and rediscovery. But we're also in this just deep exhaustion from juggling too many responsibilities, from carrying too much on our shoulders. Is there any wonder that these years feel so disruptive? When you have all of these changes that feel like they are just forced upon you whether you want them or not, and at the same time you're stuck in the old structures, stuck in the old obligations, and can't see your way out of them. Of course it's disruptive. Of course it's exhausting. And of course it can feel like it's too late. It's too late to start over. It's too late to want something new. It's too late to fight for what I desire. And I'm telling you, it really isn't. Even though these years are disruptive and difficult and exhausting, they are also such a brilliant opportunity. There is so much growth and self-discovery to be had. This is when we have the chance to look at life and go, what do I really want to do? What is a dream, a desire that I have held deep inside me for years, just waiting to come out? What are the skills I have that I could offer out into the world for the benefit of not just myself, but others as well? Am I insane at 49 to go, you know what? I'm starting a business. I'm building something new for myself here and now when I'm so old? But I'm not too old. I'm probably insane. But for many other reasons than wanting to build a career out of what I'm actually genuinely really good at. I mean, the insanity is probably more in doing it when I am also a single complex needs mom, not in my age. But no, I am not too old, damn it. I have half my life left, at least. I mean, I do plan on living until I'm 101 because I want to die in my prime. Little maths joke for you. I also think that this is such a beautiful time to redefine our relationship with ourselves. And not just with our minds, but with these amazing, ever-changing, gravity-attracted bodies of ours, right? And there's a whole new level of sensuality to be found now that our reproductive years are over. A certain sense of freedom, I suppose, in knowing that I'm not a baby-making machine, but I am a sensual being. And so I'm going to say it again. Put yourself on your to-do list. Start thinking about what it is that you want or what you need, so that you don't stand there one day with nothing left and you have no idea who you are. Where are you in this life transition? What stage of midlife are you in? Are you still right in the middle of the overwhelm? Was there a part of you that listened to this episode and thought, but I am too overwhelmed? How am I supposed to be able to think ahead when I quite frankly cannot think past today because there's just too much? I hear you and I can help you. This is part of what I do. In one-to-one strategy sessions with me, I can help you see through that overwhelm. Where everything feels too much and you don't know where to start because everything has to be done and everything has to be done now. That's where I can help you untangle all your thoughts and all your feelings about it and all of the tasks and responsibilities that you have and help you identify what it is that actually really matters. Right in that overwhelm, where you can't see past today, I can help you create enough space so that you can start seeing forwards again. Perhaps you have identified that there is a change you want to make in life. You know what it is, but you have no idea how to do it or where to even start. And perhaps more importantly, you don't know if you're really allowed to want that change, or if within the life that you have, you even can think about making that change. This is where I can come in and really help you untangle your thoughts and emotions about it, identify the parts that will have the most impact, give you some real tangible suggestions of what's the next step right now. And then after that step, what's the following step? Or perhaps you're a little bit further on than that, and you have actually made a change. You have started something new. You have stepped out into the great big unknown, and now you're standing there, you're going, ooh, now what? Because to navigate the big unknown, there's so much that needs to be done. And you can listen to all of the experts out there, and they say you need to focus on this, and you need to focus on this, and you need to focus on this, and you need to focus on this. And you're going, but I'm just one woman and I can't do all of them all at once. And so you might want somebody who can walk that path with you and help you make sense of what is the right priority order for you. Again, that's where I come in. And you can work with me. I have capacity to take on a couple of one-to-one clients. And so if this is you, if you have looked at your life and you have gone, actually something has to change, and I'm not quite capable of making that change on my own, I not only need a bit of help with it, I want some help with it, then connect with me. We'll have a chat and we'll see whether the way I work suits you. I hesitate to call this life coaching. Yes, it is. To a large extent, it is life coaching. I am a qualified life coach, but I feel that what I do doesn't fit into pure life coaching, because I will not just guide you to discover all your own solutions. I will do that, but I find it very difficult to stay quiet when I see something. And this is not, I'm not saying I'm going to sit there and tell you this is what you have to do, but I have a knack for seeing what could be really helpful. And if I see what would be really helpful, I'm not going to keep that to myself. It is about adjusting that to your life, your realities, your personality, to make it a way that works for you. You can connect with me through the DMs in my Instagram, The Feminine Duality, or you can email me at tova@thefeminineduality.com. And all of those links are in the description to this episode. And even if you're not quite ready to work with me on a one-to-one level just yet, I still want to connect with you. I'm still really curious to hear what you think about this episode, what it sparked in you, those ways of connecting with me that I just said. Get in touch and let's take this conversation a bit further. Thank you so much. From ashes